Happy February 22nd, JLD here, and welcome to Strategy Today. In this show, we talk about the tough, choppy market that is Bitcoin, that is MSTR. We talk about the strategy mind map. We go over some really cool things within this. We talk about past pain when it comes to MSTR, when it comes to strategy, and what that looks like now. We talk about why the real value of strategy is going to come when we hit a 1 trillion plus market cap. So strap in for that. And then, of course, we have Michael Saylor's rule number 7 of Bitcoin and so much more. This video is not financial advice, but please do comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. I love your comments. We love the conversations that happen within that section. So hit it up and let's dive on in. Today's first post is going to be not a pretty one. This is MicroStrategy down 7.48% on Friday. As you can see, it just was not a fun day in the market for MSTR. But I want to give some perspective here because I really want people to understand when you are investing in MicroStrategy Inc., as you see here, MSTR, the company strategy, Michael Saylor and his team's vision. You are signing up for volatility. End of story. You are signing up for volatility to the upside, as we've definitely seen, and volatility to the downside, which we have definitely seen. That is what makes strategy the interesting product that it is. So whenever you're comparing MSTR strategy to Bitcoin, you have to use the comparison of IBIT. This is one of the Bitcoin ETFs because this has the same open and close, market open and market close as strategy does. So it is an equal comparison on the actual trading time. And as you can see, yesterday, IBIT had a rough day. It was down 3.78%, looking like a very similar actual chart as MSTR, except obviously MSTR went down 7.48% because why? Most of the time, a lot of the time, strategy is going to trade down twice as much and up twice as much. You are signing up for a leveraged Bitcoin play when it comes to strategy. Sometimes it's going to be a 1.5x, sometimes it's going to be a 2x, sometimes it's even going to be more because there's a lot of different factors that go into strategy besides just Bitcoin, because strategy does a lot of things when it comes to Bitcoin with its convertible debt and at the market sales and preferred stock and all these different things. So when I look at this, I say, well, hey, if IBIT went down 3.78, of course I'm expecting MSTR to go down about double that and 7.48%. So that is just a reality of the world that we live in. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but since it's high at 540, like it's been down a lot more than Bitcoin. Yes, it has, because it went way up higher than Bitcoin. So what you want to do in this case, in my opinion, is click on the 6-month button. And what has strategy done over the past 6 months? This is an actually decently long time frame. It's up 124%. What is IBIT up over the last 6 months? Let's go ahead and check. It's up 57%. So more than double is what MSTR. If you guys, if we had bought at the exact same time 6 months ago, these two products, strategy has outperformed 2x. And let's even go to a 1 year. 1 year, Bitcoin's up 81%. What is MSTR? 1 year. Let's share the screen. 1 year, 320%. So these are the comparisons that I believe you should be making on longer term horizons. This is where the strategy plays out longer term. And I'm just going to move on to this screen right here because I created a video that is essentially all about you should sell MSTR if. I'll put the link to this video at the top of the show notes page below. If you want to watch this video, there are a lot of reasons why certain people, certain individuals should sell MSTR because they fundamentally don't understand what Michael Saylor is doing. They fundamentally don't understand what MSTR's plan is now and in the long-term future. And if you don't, and you don't like what's happening, then possibly owning something like IBIT or just straight Bitcoin and cold storage is a better play for you. It's a decision that we all have to make. I own both. I own Bitcoin in cold storage and I own MSTR because I believe in Michael Saylor and I believe in the strategy that MSTR is executing. If you do, awesome. Let's be long-term thinkers about it. If you don't, then maybe it's time to shift into one of these other products that you can have less volatility and less frustration. All right, let's start getting into some actual posts now. Michael Saylor, perfection is achieved, not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. And I love this because it's just to me another opening and glance into Michael Saylor's mind, like what he's doing. Like he's looking for a simple, incredible strategy. That's what the plan is here. And he is executing on that, in my opinion, at a great level. Chris shares, for all my fellow MSTR investors out there, if you ever need a quick snapshot of the core fundamental framework of the strategy thesis, here's a super high level mind map I put together. I find the at a glance view extremely useful for quickly painting a picture. And so I love this because it shows strategies, industry, software, financials, the value drivers, boom, maximize Bitcoin holdings via all these things. The value drivers, maximize the cash flow via all these things. The moat, why does strategy have such a moat around it? What are the KPIs? This is what Michael Saylor is acting upon. Yield, Bitcoin per share, total Bitcoin holdings. This is the focus. If you're not on board with this focus, again, refer back to the last video that I talked about. Opportunities. This is what the opportunities are within MSTR. And then the risks. And of course, there are risks. And Bitcoin could go extinct. A prolonged decline in Bitcoin. And prolonged, by the way, means years, which has not happened thus far in Bitcoin's history, but who knows what's going to happen in the future. So these are all risks that you need to take in. And again, the reason why there's opportunity in strategy right now is because there are risks. If there were no risks, it would already be at $10,000 per share, but there are risks, and these risks are real. Okay, let's keep moving on here. I want to talk about strategy sharing. Conventional wisdom is to strip volatility from corporations. Strategy engineers volatility through intelligent leverage because volatility is vitality. I have said these words so many times on this show because it's so true. And guess what? MSTR is more volatile than any S&P 500 stock. End of story. End of story. And this is what Michael Saylor wants. This is something that he is tracking and he's going to keep up. He wants it to be unbelievably volatile. Matt says, what's crazy is that I would have been thrilled if you told me back in August that MSR would be $300 at the end of February. It's just the path between the two that's painful. So listen, I'm going to say the exact same thing as Matt. This path has been painful because I experienced the euphoria of the $540 price at one point for that brief moment in time. I was like, this is unbelievable because I was investing in MSTR back in August. And back then when it was in the, low 100s, like a 3x sounded amazing at $300 by the end of February. I would have signed up for that all day long. But, it's been a painful path to get there when you go way above this and then you come back down and it seems like you've been losing momentum. So this is just something I want you to think about. And Bitcoin Overflow says, I always remind myself that I survived the drop from 30 to 15. And then it just seems funny. And this is something that, hey, this was a 50% drop. Painful. And then Matt says, yeah, $22 to $13 was pretty brutal for me too. So, the investors that have been in this for a while, who have a long-term horizon, realize that this is just part of the strategy game that we have signed up for. And by the way, what do you think Bitcoin holders have been experiencing for all this time? Like absolute volatility for the past 15 years. Whatever path you've been on with Bitcoin, it's been volatile. Chris says, Bitcoin forces you to learn about money and saving. And that is so true. I've learned so much about money and saving. I've watched documentaries. I just watched God Bless Bitcoin, which was a fantastic documentary. Cool stuff. MSTR forces you to learn about markets and investing. And this is so true as well. I've learned so much about convertible bonds, ATMs, preferred stocks that I never knew before. So thank you, MSTR. Thank you, Saylor, for helping me get there. And Chris wants to know, do we understand? I'm getting there, Chris. I really am. Jeff says, imagine if Berkshire Hathaway were built with a nuclear Bitcoin core instead of a flabby fiat core. That'll be MSTR, but on steroids. We have only seen the tip of the iceberg with the value of BTC corporate balance sheets higher. Wanted to go to this. Bitcoin Overflow says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but buying Bitcoin OTC, that's over the counter, does affect price. It's a myth that folks like Saylor can just go and deploy $2 billion at the OTC desk and have zero impact on price. So what this is referencing is because a lot of people are like, oh, if Saylor bought $2 billion, but he does it of Bitcoin, but he does it over the counter with OTC, he's not actually affecting the price. Well, that is a myth, and there's videos about why that is a myth. You can go on Google and find some. I think there might be. Oh yeah, this is one that's linked right here, so you can watch this 11-minute video about OTC trading desk, which I watched, which really cleared things up for me as well about why buying OTC over the counter does affect price. And again, this tweet will be linked up in the show notes with that video as well. The last post before we move on to Saylor's rule number 7 is from MicroStrategy. It's the big market cap that will sustain our big NAV multiple. Don't freak out about short-term share price and short-term compression of the multiple. This is just a chance for a good entry. We're still below 100 billion, a minnow. You'll see the multiple expand again massively on the next leg up in Bitcoin price, and it will contract on the following dip, just like we planned. If Bitcoin dipped hard from here, not saying it will, we can see how the NAV could push back towards 1 or even below. Gasp. The real meat will get put on the frame of our multiple once we hit 1 trillion plus market cap. By then, we will be the number one most traded stock consistently, assuming our volume scales. We will also start scooping up major passive flows. The passive flows don't care about paying a high multiple. This growing MNAV agnostic demand will allow us to ramp up ATM issuance, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of total volume. Our recent flurry of ATM finance required just 2.9% of cumulative trading volume. Only a small portion of our volume is from passive index demands relative to our future position as a mega cap. The greater the proportion of total trading volume that is MNAV agnostic, the greater our ability to supply securities at a high premium. The growing efficiency and scale of our raises due to the higher premium and higher volume will then justify a growing valuation. Remember, we are a growth company. As a long-term strategy investor, I foresee the majority of my investment gains in Bitcoin terms occurring after we have a market cap of 10 trillion. I'm thinking 5 to 10 years out. The journey from 10 to 100 trillion will be joyful. The quest to 1 quadrillion will be quintessential. First, we will win the markets, then we will enjoy the fruits. Well said, MicroStrategy. And now, Michael Saylor on rule number 7. Take it away.
Rule number 7. Bitcoin's the one thing in the universe that you can truly own. How? Why? Right? It's information manifested as economic value. The network has to be durable. The network has to be decentralized. The network has to be ethical. But if you find an economically sound, technically sound, ethically sound crypto network, of which we have one called Bitcoin, then the possession of the keys is ownership of the thing. Everything else you have in your life, you own at the pleasure of someone more powerful than you. Whether it's the mayor, the governor, the nation state, the corporation, it could be anything or anyone. You think you own it, you have it until it's taken away. It'll be taken away from you by expropriation, by taxation. Maybe it'll be taken away from you by regulation. And in the absence of all those things, it'll be taken away from you by the passage of time, entropy and chaos. Except this thing. This is the thing that if you own this, the passage of time only makes it more valuable. Chaos only makes it more valuable. Nobody on earth can take it away from you. It's the first thing in human history you can own. It redefines the principle of property.
And there you have it, another episode of Strategy today. I truly hope you enjoyed. If you did get value, giving value back in the form of a comment below where you're watching from, what you're thinking. I know that right now in this moment, these are frustrating times for many, but we're going to get through this together because you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So let's keep hanging out. Let's keep each other optimistic and motivated. We'll be realistic and transparent as we talked about the choppy market today. But at the end of the day, like, this is another bump in the road that we can get through together. I made the buy yesterday near high. I'm basically like Michael Saylor. I'm buying the top forever. I filled at $319, my $210 purchase. And I look forward to my next purchase this coming Monday as well, and every trading day of the year. Tomorrow, I'll be sharing the entire DCA portfolio, how it's looking. It won't be looking pretty. I'll give you a little warning about that, but still early in the year, so a lot of things to come, in my opinion, both exciting and interesting. We'll keep it at that. So until next time, enjoy. And as Michael Saylor says, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.